So I've been playing yet another new gimmicky game mode release for the finals, and it's making me sad. Ever since playing the first closed alpha for this game, I've been very excited for its development and its future. Having played with some of the devs as well as prominent members of the finals community, I know the support for this game is really strong. I also know that the initial player base during its release was pretty big, so it saddens me to see this game in the place it is now. No offense, but the finals is a hollow shell of what it could be, even though they consistently keep adding new stuff to the game. New stuff that, according to certain comment leavers, is exactly how a live service game should be, and is the gold standard of modern live service gaming. And I'm here to tell you that you're completely wrong, and the ever-diminishing player count is proof of that. But I'm also here to tell you how to fix this, because I enjoy the finals and want to see it flourish, and it pains me to see the devs putting so much effort into the wrong things, and members of the general community supporting things they think they want that they actually don't. The finals is a competitive first-person shooter built around a competitive game show. As such, inevitably, metas emerge. Metas that define what weapons, gadgets and classes you can realistically play to remain competitive in the game. This is not a new phenomenon. Most games, especially competitive ones, form metas, as people want to win, and they'll happily use and abuse the strongest thing possible to do it. Unfortunately, the meta in the finals, regardless of what it is, seems to make the game feel stale incredibly quickly. When I was playing this game more consistently, it became apparent that heavy, medium, heavy with a bunch of shields, and medium with defib and heals was the absolute only way you could realistically play the game. And if you tried to do anything else, you would inevitably be beaten into the dirt by the heavy, medium comp. The heavy could only use the Lewis gun, the medium could only use the Scar. It became quite repetitive and oppressive. But the finals isn't the only game that has a repetitive stale meta. Counter-Strike, for example, has been dominated by the AK, M4 and AWP since the beginning of time. And yet this game remains one of the most played multiplayer games ever. The devs also rarely make massive changes, there are not new and rotating game modes, the competitive scene is not drastically different year on year, and yet the audience retention in this game is insane. League of Legends is very similar. While they have a few gimmicky game modes every now and then, the vast majority of players come back again and again to play the same very meta-dependent game. And while, thanks to regular patches, the meta does shift a bit more frequently, you're still always playing on the same one map, with the same quantity of teammates, the same game plan, the same lane assignments. I mean, you're probably constantly still playing the same role. So how do these games retain players despite changing relatively very little, while the finals has to pump out a new gimmick every month and can barely retain anyone? The problem is that the finals is way too one-dimensional, and they're trying to fix their problem by endlessly adding more content, which is a surefire way to not actually solve your problem. In Counter-Strike, you have this little thing called money, and it's literally the most important thing in the game. The beauty of Counter-Strike is the same beauty of Battle Royales. Although there is an absolute best meta build for the game doesn't let you have this build all the time. The AK, the M4, the AWP, the equipment you want must be earned by building your economy. Once earned, these things must also be maintained, and if lost, must be rebought. This makes every round feel different, while simultaneously making you feel like you're building towards something, while also adding actual stakes to every round you play. And this more complex shooter formula creates a game that has you hooked from start to finish. The same is true of League of Legends. In League, you don't just start with your final build. It's something that has to be earned along with levels as you progress through a round. If you loaded into the Rift every round with an entirely full build character and everything you wanted, the game would quickly become very boring. Coincidentally, this is exactly what you do in the finals. Every round of the finals feels the same because you load in with your full build next to your teammates who also have their full build and are running a comp you've run 1,000 times before. Every single round you play then feels exactly the same because you're not building anything. You're already at your late game power spike 1 second in. In a game like this, of course, the only thing you can do is add more stuff. You have no wiggle room. The game is very basic, so the mind must instead be distracted with an endless supply of shiny new objects. And while it is a strategy, I'd argue it's not a very sustainable one. But the finals can be saved, and they already have the building blocks for their salvation. And I'm going to give it to you for free right now. In the core tournament game mode in the finals, teams fight for the green allure of cold hard, presumably American cash. I mean, based on the economy today, it better not be pounds. Locking in cash helps you to secure your ticket to the next round, the teams with the 2 highest cash stockpiles at the end of each game being the 2 teams that progress. So clearly the point of the cash is to decide your end of round rankings. Well, yes, but the problem is that winning by $80,000 is exactly the same as winning by $1. Just scraping a win against quality opponents means the exact same thing as dominating your opponents, taking literally all the available money. And this is a huge miss for the game, and leads to a fairly stale gameplay loop where the stakes don't really feel like stakes at all, which is quite strange considering the game is based around a tournament game show where money is the primary motivator for all contestants. So surely the money should actually mean something. Of course your team does lose a percentage of their current cash when they wipe, which does help to justify having money in the game, but I think this is missing the true potential of the mechanic. Instead, I want you to picture a world, an alternate reality, a place where the Queen discovered the power to live forever, a place where we found out for certain exactly which babies Joe Biden is getting his stem cells from, and a place where the finals is launched with a more detailed and nuanced money system. In this idyllic, near-perfect world, the finals works a little bit like this. You begin a tournament with only a small selection of your total equipment. For example, launching into round 1 with just a primary weapon and 1 piece of equipment. Upon winning this round, the money you manage to extract is then split evenly across your team. You and your team can then use this money to buy more of your equipment to use in the next round. There may also be a number of extra team perks not currently in the game, for example faster team health regen or increased move speed or reload speed, that could also be purchased if all team members invested. This more nuance the finals would bring with it a long list of benefits our current finals just doesn't have. First and foremost, this would create a far more interesting and varied gameplay loop, where instead of playing what is essentially the same round on a slightly different map 3 or 4 times in a row, instead you have the added difference maker of building your character as you play. This opens up all new strategy potential, as you can then prioritize buying certain equipment and upgrades based on the players you've been playing against in your lobbies and the map you're playing on. But it gets better. With this system, getting the most money, i.e. playing the best, is incentivized. In the current meta, if your team is already first and there's a minute left on the clock, you're actually better off taking any remaining vaults and simply running to the edge of the map and never depositing them, as running down the clock is safer than attempting a bigger cash out that could potentially be stolen when you're already winning. With the new system, risking it all for more money when the time runs out could give you an advantage in the next round, as you'll have more money to spend on unlocks. This way, the winning team is actually incentivized to continue playing the game even when they're already winning. I could also see a world where, while the money at the end of the round would automatically be split evenly between the 3 players, you could also choose to donate your split to another member of your team, opening up even more strategic opportunities for players to stack their unlocks on one member of their team over splitting them across all 3. Much like in Snowpiercer, where everyone sacrifices their rations to help beef up one super soldier. This could allow for a whole host of new viable strategies and team comps that currently cannot exist. For example, the riot shield in the current meta is literally unusable, but in a world where your team are stacking unlocks on the riot shield guy, he could quickly become the strongest player in the next round, compared to the teams who have played more meta but split their unlocks, leading to a much more diverse and engaging gameplay loop with possibilities to use the full breadth of the finals arsenal, instead of being restricted to whatever the 3 meta guns are at the time. This system as a whole would generate more of a story to each finals tournament you play, forcing you to learn and adapt to playing at various stages of limited equipment, while also getting the League of Legends style satisfaction of building up a character over several rounds, with the finals wet dream of collecting so much cash that you can hit that juicy monster late game build. You'd still get that finals action you love, the destruction, the verticality, the class system, the team comps. You just get it in a far more intricate and developed package that rewards good teams and makes for a funky and fresh experience every tournament you load into. A system like this would reward good players, make each round interesting and unique, and open up a whole host of gameplay opportunities. With a finals like this, you're sure to retain a larger player base, without the need for endless gimmicky events or skins. And that's how you fix the finals. But what do you think? Any devs in the chat? You're welcome to take the idea and use it as you please. All I ask is a 1% cut of all finals profits from now until I die. Thank you very much, all the best, and I hope to see you in the next one.